Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here for week 5. I can't believe it's week 5 already. I feel like the time has just flown by. So as you know, your final presentations are approaching. So this week and next week, we'll spend some time preparing for that. Today, our special guest speaker will discuss preparing for presentations, and then Lynn is going to give you some assignments specifics. So I am very excited for today's webinar, and it's my privilege to introduce Mr. Jay Brown, the Chairman and Managing Director of Hyatt Brown, an engineering and advisory firm based in Washington, D.C. Mr. Brown received his bachelor's degree in economics from the University of California, Santa Cruz. He then went on to pursue a Master of Public Administration at the University of Washington. He is a certified commercial investment member, CCIM, and has the project management professional PMP certification. Hyatt Brown, the company, is involved in planning, construction, operation of civil and social infrastructure projects, and commercial real estate development. Mr. Brown's expertise lies in supporting clients in strategic, transactional, and public-private real estate services. Mr. Brown has 33 years of professional experience, has given a countless amount of presentations, and is an excellent public speaker. Jody can attest to that. So we believe that there is nobody more qualified to speak with you today. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to utilize the chat, and time permitting, we'll try our best to cover all of them. And Mr. Brown, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Tab. Can you guys, I'm gonna see if I can switch to see you guys while you can see me as well. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jay Brown, as Tabitha said. Tabitha, thanks for that introduction. So I don't need to share anything about my background professionally. You covered it all. So this is all about me personally. It's really great to learn about what Repicture is doing. And as I understand it, you guys are getting a whole series of presentation skills and training. And really what you wanted to hear from me was, how do you sort of prepare for your presentation? We talked about slides and whether to use slides. And as I thought about it, I really did not want to use slides. Having been doing this for so long, I really wanted to boil it down to what I thought were a few essentials that I've observed, not just for me, because mostly what I do is mimic what I see other people do over the years. I had a mentor that told me, just, when you see people that do great things, copy them. So have no concerns about copying what other people do. Just about everything I've done, I've learned by watching other people. But I wanted to boil the presentation down to a few things. And the first one that I think you guys may have talked about, but I didn't really put words to it until I was much further along in my career. And that is, you really have to make a connection. The most important thing about your presentation is you. It's not what you say, it's how you say it and whether you make a connection. When you think about all the times that you've left an interaction and you said, you felt something, like you felt moved, you felt enlightened, chances are it wasn't the substance of what you heard, it was the way in which it was delivered to you, the person smiling at you, looking in your eyes, sharing their passion with you. That was the most important thing about the presentation. So the first sort of point I want to make is that really think about, how do I make a personal connection in my presentation? It's hard right now during virtual, but you can do it even in virtual. One of the things that I learned, or I observed, I should say, early on, was that I loved being in people's homes during these presentations. I run a consulting firm, so I have to sell not only my expertise, I have to convince people that to spend a lot of money, because I'm not cheap, a lot of money on my expertise, but at the same time, they have to feel comfortable with who this person is. And I felt being in people's homes actually made selling easier to me, because it brought us all down to a human level, and we didn't have to focus so much on gotta get the words right, gotta tell them the 50 things that I can do for them, but rather be a person that they're gonna wanna work with. Chances are your substance and your technical knowledge will kind of speak for itself, and it's not a differentiator because, anybody can figure stuff out technically, but not everybody can make you want to be around them and make you want to come back and talk more. So number one, make a personal connection. If you're virtual, I say get as close to the screen as you can. If you have an opportunity to pick on Jerry and that poster that she's got, and what does that poster mean? Just ways to connect, and not you guys are younger in your career, so you don't want to be too flip about it, right? If you're given you don't want to act like you are too comfortable. So you find a way to be who you are, really, which is a person that can connect on a human level. So number one, make a connection, make it all about you leaving an impression that somebody wants to spend time with you later. Number one. Number two, smile. I sort of grew up in an environment in South Central LA where I grew up. And back then, sort of the tough streets of South Central LA. And when I got out of the streets and had my first ever professional job, I had an internship at the IRS. And I had never been in an office building in my life. I was like 16 years old. I was in high school, the high school internship. And I'd never wore even like really dressy clothes. But I remember I was not smiling because where I grew up, a smile was a sense of weakness. A smile could get your butt kicked on the streets. So I had wired myself to not smile. And then someone mentioned to me in that very first internship, asked me to smile. And it was life-changing in a way, because I've learned over the years that a smile changes everything. Like you can really connect with people just by smiling. So I would just say, don't be afraid to smile during a presentation. It's okay. Like people want, and smile not just with your mouth, smile with your eyes and everything. Make people feel comfortable, and it works. Number two, smile. And then another thing about the smiling, especially if you are in a room with people, attention is hard to get these days. And I think that when you smile, give eye contact, sometimes you can even touch somebody properly and appropriately, like on the shoulder. It just helps to build a level of engagement in what you're saying that then keeps people focused on you. The focus is on you. It's a little scary because we all want the focus to be on that PowerPoint. We want the words on the page to be, because that's a little more comfortable. That doesn't get you where you want to be. The focus should be on you. The fewer the words on the page, the better. Keep them talking to you, keep them looking at you, keep them engaged with you, and smiling helps. I'm looking to the right because I wrote 4 points down that I want to add. The other thing I would say, spend really a lot of time on, to the extent you can, is just really knowing who your audience is. And that sounds easy enough, but what does that really mean? It means if you're going to be in a room with one person in an interview, go to that person's LinkedIn site, Google that person, find out everything you can about them, and use that information to, again, make a connection. Don't abuse it. Don't try to get too cute with it, and because you can be off-putting if you don't do it the right way. But learn as much as you can about them, not just professionally, but as much as you can personally. If you're in a room with 5 people making a presentation, always find out before you present, who am I talking to? And to the extent you can get any individual information, do it. You may not even incorporate it into your presentation, but having gone through that, if something comes up, it will allow you to give context that people can relate to, because you can give context to things that you kind of know about them. And let me give you an example. Just last week, we just won a big engagement with Vanderbilt University to help them with a utility concessionaire consulting agreement. We're working with Ernst & Young. And we had an interview with the chancellor and some of the senior executives. So I Googled the chancellor, found out everything. And lo and behold, I found out he's got an MPA degree, just like me. He's got twin boys, same age as my twin boys. He's got one of his twins is a senior year at NYU, just like one of my twins was in his senior year at NYU. I found like 5 things we had in common. And so when we had the conversation, I was able to talk about things and give context in ways that, you know, and I'm trying to be careful not to say, you know, just sort of just drop this stuff out there. You have to use it the right way. But there was a moment where I was able to, the conversation allowed me to mention my twins. And of course he said, oh, I have twins too. I already knew that, but okay. And then we spent a little bit of sidebar talking about NYU, because once he brought up the twins, you know, I knew he had a twin at NYU, so I brought up NYU. And needless to say, we got the work. Did that make us win the work? I don't know, but it certainly didn't hurt. So do your homework, know who you are talking to, spend that extra time, and not just for facts, but really try to think about them as a person, who they are. You're not going to be able to figure out what makes them tick, but you might find a few interesting things that you can relate to. That was number 3, know the audience. And then the very last thing is really about keeping it simple, guys. You know, I don't know, the one thing Tabitha didn't say about me is that I'm an engineer, because I am not. I am not a STEM person. I am a financial person. I'm okay with numbers, but I'm not an engineer. Hyatt, who's our CEO, good friends with Jody on the line, my significant other, is an engineer. 21 out of the 28 employees we have at our company are engineers. And the hardest job I have is getting the engineers to keep it simple. They always want to give you all of the really impressive details about how they got from point A to point B, and it's really impressive. You know, I'm blown away by their skills, but nobody wants to hear that stuff. You know, nobody wants to hear it. They just want to hear what time it is, not how the clock is made. Everybody's heard that term before. You need to do that in your presentations as well. Leave all the details to the back. If somebody has a detailed question, whip that thing out, boom, I got it. And they'll be impressed. Do not lead with that detail. Keep it really, really simple. If you can't explain, now, what you guys do is very impressive. Some of it's even rocket science. I was gonna say it's not rocket science, but some of it could be pretty close to rocket science. But you have to be able to explain it to somebody who doesn't understand it like you, and have it make sense to them. Have it connect to them on a level that they understand. And oftentimes you have different levels in a room. Really, people who are your peers technically, and then people who are not all that savvy. Play to the lowest common denominator. The technical people will always show you how smart they are and ask you a detailed question, and you're ready for that. Boom. But simplify it. Keep it simple. And so, you know, there's practical ways to do that. I know I really only had like 20 minutes to kind of chat with you guys, but I really wanted to leave a lot of time for back and forth and to ask and answer any questions you guys have. So sum it up real quick. Number 1, personal connection. Number 2, smile. Number 3, know your audience. And number 4, keep it simple. If you do those things, you're going to be an awesome presenter. And if you start practicing now at this level you guys are at, oh my God, I could take over a small country. You guys are going to be fantastic. That's my spiel.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I love that advice about smiling and making a connection with people. I think that's such an underrated aspect of presenting. And I know when I do that myself, it makes me more comfortable. So Yeah, love that advice. So again, to all of the students, if you want to ask a question, you can just put it in the chat or you can direct chat me. But to start off, um, what do you think is the simplest thing that you can do to just elevate your presentation, whether it's about you specifically, how you're speaking, or maybe even preparing your presentation? Just the simplest thing.
Yeah, I think the simplest thing you can do is start by focusing on making a connection on a human level to the people you're talking to. Don't dive right into the details of the analysis. I think that's one of the things that we don't often spend enough time just doing. How do I start this conversation off in a way that sort of makes everybody comfortable and puts the focus on me and not on my presentation. And so I think that's the simplest thing you can do. And then just, less words, a lot of white space. If you're using slides, a lot of white space. If I have to actually focus on your slide, it's not a good slide. If I want to focus on you want your audience to focus on you. If they have to spend time reading your slide, then you haven't succeeded. So don't feel you have to have a lot of stuff on the page. Make it about you.
Great, yeah, thank you. So another question, when you first started presenting, did you initially feel comfortable talking, or did you do something to get yourself to the point where you do feel comfortable now?
Boy, it's been so long. I don't remember when I started. I think, actually, I can tell you the very first real public meeting. I was not a public meeting, but what I would call a presentation. I was a junior in college, and I had a job with the City Club, and I was just basically administrator. I was just taking notes and keeping up the meetings. So they asked me to present to them my observations of the meeting in the following meeting. I was scared to death. I had never been in front of a bunch of people and had presented, a bunch of professionals. But what I found was, as long as I knew what I was talking about, it wasn't that bad. So I would say, just make sure you really know what you're talking. The most confidence you get is from knowing what you're talking about. That doesn't mean focus on saying all these smart things, but just be confident that you can handle any question, and also be confident in not having an answer to a question. It's okay to not have an answer to it. And once I got comfortable with that concept, that, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not here presenting, something that I'm not comfortable with. I know more about that than just about anybody in the room. So I'm in a better position. So I sort of thought about it like that. I know more about this topic that I'm talking about than any of you. So therefore I'm cool. And if I don't know it, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. The other thing that really helped, I did a lot of TAing when I was in college. I was an economics major. And I found that teaching other people one-on-one really, really elevated my ability to communicate things in a way that was understandable to people. And that really helped me along the way. So if you have opportunities while you're in college to do any teaching assistant, I think that was actually a really solid foundation for me to begin to take complicated concepts, like at that time, economic theory, and explain it to somebody who was just trying to get there. And I've used that same sort of concept throughout my whole career, taking complicated stuff and trying to explain it to somebody who really is not an expert in. But means you got to know what you're saying to be able to break it down in those fundamental terms.
Right. And I guess a question that's kind of similar to that is, if you could give advice to somebody who is in high school or college about presenting, what would it be? And I guess you did kind of talk about the college aspect, but maybe somebody in high school who hasn't had the opportunity yet to go ahead and get that TA position.
I would say find any opportunities for engagement on any level. If you are, and engaging in topics that may not be as comfortable for you, right? I don't mean just engage with your friends about the latest, what's happening, but get out of your comfort zone. If you're in high school, get with a group that may be exploring a particular club, and I never joined a club, so I'm a little out of school, but I regret not having done that because I could have had those opportunities for engagement early on. Actually, I don't think we had clubs at the high school I went to in South Central anyway, so never mind that. But in any opportunities you have to really just engage, and I would say more adult engagement too, like anything, whether you're volunteering at a political event or doing some other, just put yourself in an adult environment where you have to engage and talk to not your peers, but to others. I think that would be just great training. And then as you get more professional opportunities, even in high school, take those. And so that's what I would say. Just use every opportunity just to engage. And eventually you'll be so comfortable, it'll be second nature.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I know for myself, just working in customer service, like working in restaurants definitely boosted my confidence in that way, like really just getting out there and engaging with people. So yeah, that's awesome advice. So I think we have
And
yeah, go ahead.
I want to say, Tabitha, I noticed that about. So for the rest of you on the line, I've been engaging with Tabitha since getting prepared for this, and I have to say, you come across in a way that a lot of folks at your stage don't, and so I'm glad you're attributing it to the simple things like working in the service industry. And I did too. I worked in restaurants, I worked in liquor store in LA, liquor store, but every job I had before I became a professional was in the service industry, and I think that helped a lot. So don't take those things for granted. You can grow in just about any job. But I noticed that about you though, Tabitha. So well
Thank
done.
you. I really appreciate that. So yeah, I guess we have time for maybe one or two more questions. When do you think it's appropriate to use like slides or visuals? I noticed that you didn't today, but in what situation would you think that those would work better?
I think if you have to show a process, a slide helps, because people can't visualize a process in a conversation, and they can't retain a process. So a picture to demonstrate a process is great. Steps, steps in a procedure, steps in a calculation. If you have to do stuff like that, I think a slide is fine. Slides that are just words explaining something like what I talked about, like everything we talked about today did not need a slide. If anything, if I was really creative, I would have had really cool little video clips of people doing the type of stuff that I'm explaining, but I'm not that creative. I would maybe use something like that. But as far as really PowerPoint slides, processes, steps, procedures, not sort of this kind of dialogue. That's my suggestion.
All right, wonderful. And then last question, what is the main mistake that you see when you see other people presenting, and what advice would you give to fix that or to avoid that?
Interestingly enough, I think the main mistake I see is people not doing the 4 things that I suggested to you guys today. They think that the presentation is all about the topic, and so they just bore the heck out of people that are, even people who know the topic or are interested in the topic, have no interest in hearing it come from somebody that is just essentially just mouthing something that I could go and figure out on my own. Like that's, so I think the biggest mistake is people don't understand the importance of the personal connection and the personal engagement during the presentation, and making that a wholesome part of the presentation. So great slides, a lot of good content. Should have been a report that you should have given to me because I didn't need you to present it, and because you didn't, I didn't connect with you. So what's the point of the presentation? I can consume that information on my iPhone. So I think that's the biggest mistake they made. They forget about the connection.
All right, well, great. Thank you again for spending time with us today. I know I learned a lot. So I'm going to hand it over to Lynn for the rest of the time that we have here, and she's going to give our students some details about our assignment this week.
Thank you, Tabitha, and thanks everybody for putting up with me for 20 minutes.
Thanks, Jay. That was so helpful. I really appreciate it. That was
My
really
pleasure.
great. Thank you.
I'm gonna sign off. Is that okay?
It sure is. Thanks again.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Yeah, I love that presentation, and it ties really well into what we're going to be talking about. And when Jay's top advice, everyone can see my slide? Thumbs up? Right. Jay's top advice, when just asked, what's his top advice? He said, get out of your comfort zone, take the opportunity to talk to adults when you can, present to them. So that's exactly, we didn't pay him to say that, but basically that ties exactly into this week's assignment. And as I think you know, it's going to be about presentations. But first, I want to remind everyone, you need to complete and submit all assignments, and it's not too late to catch up. So if you've missed an assignment, please go ahead and do it, because really you want to complete all these assignments to get the most out of the program. You'll get a certificate of completion, and you'll be entered in a $500 drawing. So please take the opportunity to do that. We have 2 weeks left. You have some time to do that. So this week's, as a reminder, this week is interview assignment that I know some of you already started to submit it, but the interview assignment is due on Sunday. You need to either submit a video of your interview or documentation of your interview. And if you did an interview about a project, you should write up that project on Repicture, assuming the professional said that was okay. We know some of you didn't have someone to interview. You didn't submit in time to have us align you with someone to interview. So if you still want to get a completion on this assignment, on the week 4 assignment, you need to attend tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll have our normal 1 o'clock Eastern time, have a short break, and then at 2 o'clock, we'll have a session where you have an opportunity to ask some questions. You need to ask a question during the session. You need to document what you learned from the session, and we'll count that as complete for the assignment. If you have any questions, you have any concerns about last week's assignments or anything, Catherine has really been helping coordinate last week's assignment. So just email Catherine and she can help you out. All right, so we're at the final, like Tabitha said, I can't believe we're nearing the end. We have our final assignment. It's going to be, we're combining weeks 5 and 6, the final 2 weeks, because it's a big assignment. And it's exactly what Jay just talked about. It's a unique opportunity for you to present. So we're going to be doing live presentations, or if you don't want to do a live presentation, you can create a video. And we're going to have the live presentations, and some of the videos are going to be shown on Friday, July 30th. So not this Friday, but the following Friday. We're going to have a 1-hour session where everyone has the opportunity to present 5 minutes about a STEM project. And so attending these presentations is STEM professionals. We're going to be inviting all of the people who were part of our panels to attend, and have an opportunity to hear from you, the students and participants. But it's also going to be some of our network and your network. So it's going to be fellow students. So we're hoping you all attend that final presentation. Even if you're not given a presentation, please come in and hear what your fellow students are doing. And then we're asking you to invite your family and friends. It's a great way to kind of show your family and friends what you've been doing the last 6 weeks. So on Classroom, there either is or will shortly be a flyer that you can send to your friends and family, as well as an Eventbrite invitation. So we are asking people to RSVP through Eventbrite, so we have a sense of how many people are going to be there. We're probably going to have to set up different rooms, breakout sessions, and we want to make sure that, if your grandmother is coming to watch you, that we put her in the session where you're going to be at. So again, it's really a great opportunity to practice your skills, and also, again, please invite your friends and family. Okay, so why are we doing this presentation? So I think Jay just, lined this up perfectly of why we're doing this assignment. In your professional career, almost no matter what field you go into, you're going to have to do presentations. You're going to present at technical conferences where you're presenting the work you've done or technical concept. And really, to advance in your career, you often want to be presenting these technical conferences. We talked also about the need to present to win work, just like Jay talked about. He had this presentation, he won this work, it was great. And you'll find, as a scientist and engineer, you're also going to be responsible for helping bring work into your organization, to your company, maybe even just for yourself. So you're going to need that skill. As you do work, you're going to be presenting the results of your work, your research, presented at public meetings of policy to policymakers. A lot of what engineers and scientists do is for the public, and you're going to need to present that, as well as just presenting to your work team, to your coworkers. It's an important skill. So in your professional life, it's going to be really important. This is an opportunity to improve those skills. And like Jay kind of alluded to, the first time he was scared, right? And everyone is, but the way you feel comfortable, the way Jay got comfortable is he knew the topic, and he continued to give presentations to the point that he obviously feels comfortable now. So why do we encourage you to give a live presentation? Again, it's and even a video is going to be really important, because you're basically practicing one of the most important skills for your career. You're going to be able to demonstrate your willingness to grow. So this is really not only just practicing doing the presentations. It's really easy to say, I've done this first 4 weeks, forget it, I don't want to do a presentation. We urge you, don't do this. This is even if you feel uncomfortable, it's really a way for you to grow. And you're going to get great coaching. You have the opportunity to get great coaching from us to kind of help you get this great presentation. So we're going to make sure that you do a fantastic job. And you can then put your presentation on your picture profile to, again, show your skills and show your willingness to grow. Basically just showcase what you've done. But if you decide you don't want to, if you don't want to put your video, you don't want to put your presentation, a video of your live presentation on your profile, it's totally fine. We think you're going to do a great job and you're going to really want to. But again, if you don't want to, it's really going to be up to you. You have the opportunity, whether or not you post it. So for the July 30th presentations, you have the opportunity, you can present individually, or you can present as part of a group. Or you can do both. If you want to present individually and part of a group, you can do both of them. But if you do 2 presentations as a group and as an individual, your project really needs to be different. And again, you're going to be presenting about a project, STEM project, and it needs to be different. And also, you want to make sure you have plenty of time to do a great job on both. You don't want to sign up to do both and then find out you don't have the time and maybe you don't do great on both. So again, think about how much time you really have. And it'd be great if you present both individually as a group, but totally up to you. Okay, so if you want to present as part of a group, either you can find a partner, maybe last week you really enjoyed working with the people you worked with and you want to ask them, hey, do you want to partner on this? Or maybe someone else you want to partner. If you even have someone outside the program that you want to partner with, that's totally fine. But if you don't have your own partner, you can basically ask us and we'll look at who else is asked for a partner. And there's a survey on Classroom where you can basically ask for us to help find someone to partner with you. Okay, so for the video options, again, we have the presentation, or you can do a video. Both cases, it's 5 minutes about a STEM project. If you choose to do a video, you can either do a video like a presentation, just as if it was a live presentation of you, presenting, or you can be totally creative. You can do however you want to do on this video. It's really your opportunity. And if you want us to show the video on July 30th, we'll be able to show some of the videos on there. Or if you want to do a video, you don't want anyone to see it other than us, that's fine also. But again, I think you're going to do a great job and you're going to want other people to see it. So we're going to provide lots of help. But one of the things that we need from you is we need to understand what your plan is so we can start planning. So we're asking by end of tomorrow to fill out a survey about your plan. And again, there's a survey on Classroom. It really is just asking you, do you want to, you're planning to present or do a video? Do you want us to help you find a team? Not. So we really want you to fill that out by close of business tomorrow so we can start get a sense of how many sessions we need to plan for on Friday. And those will be concurrent sessions. So all of you can give a live presentation next Friday if you want, but we'll know how to breakouts are. If you change your mind, so again, tomorrow we need to know your initial plans, but if you change your mind by early next week, we can adjust. So if you wanted to give live and you go, oh, maybe not, you can change that. Or more likely, we think, is you might say, oh, now I don't want to give a presentation, but when you see how awesome your presentation is, you change your mind and you want it to give it live. So you can change it, but please, by end of tomorrow, fill out that form. Okay, so now I want to talk about what are these actual presentations? What is involved? So I'm going to talk about the topics, the formats, a possible outline, and kind of a process you might want to use. So presentation topics, it's any STEM projects. You're going to talk about a STEM project. It can be an interest project. It could be a project you worked on. It could be a project you learned about from an interview you did last week or this week, assuming the professional said it's okay to talk about it. Up to you, any STEM project. And it can either be something you've already published on Repicture, or it can be something totally new. Again, the topic is up to you. Only criteria is it should be about a STEM project. You also want to make sure it's something you're interested in. If you're not interested in the topic, it's not going to be fun giving this presentation. So find a topic you're interested in and give the presentation. And also just make sure there's enough information about it to talk about it for 5 minutes. So if you found something online, but you need to make sure you find enough material that you can talk about that project for 5 minutes. For the format, I know Jay just talked about not needing to give Google Slides. We suggest actually that you do, in this case, give some PowerPoints or Google Slides, if only for part of the presentation to show it or to show something about it. But really, Google Slides and PowerPoints is part of most professional presentations. So we're encouraging you to do it. Again, if you don't want to, that's fine. We're really encouraging you because this is also an opportunity to learn about how doing PowerPoints and not doing words on PowerPoints, but doing pictures. Or if you use words, use very short words. Because remember, pictures are much better than words. However, if you do use pictures, whether it's your presentation or your video, if on your video you use music or maybe you do some video clips, it needs to be the same process as the pictures that we used on the Repicture site, right? It needs to be your own work. It needs to be clearly designated as public domain, or it needs to be indicated as a Creative Commons license that you properly attribute, such as giving that it's CC0 2.0 and giving credit to the author. And you can do that just on the photo. It can just be a small, typically you either see it in the lower left or lower right that just says, CC0, whatever number, and the author, whatever designation it is. But again, you do need to give that credit. You cannot use copyrighted pictures in your video or your presentation. The duration is 5 minutes. And you need to practice a few times to make sure you're under 5 minutes, or you're about 5 minutes. And to be honest, that's one of the hardest parts of this, is getting it in that right time frame. But again, that's a really important skill to learn, of how do you give presentations in the allotted space. And we'll also give you additional opportunities to practice, but getting that presentation allotted time is an important skill, and we want you to be practicing that skill. So what's a 5-minute presentation look like? It's typically about 600 to 750 words. I've heard some people say 800 words, but you don't want to be talking fast. You want to talk slowly. So, try to make sure that you're not giving too many words. For 5 minutes, it's probably helpful for a 5-minute presentation to write down what you plan on saying. Now, if you're given a half-hour presentation, you just can't do that. It doesn't make sense. But a 5-minute presentation, because it needs to be really tight, you might actually just write down, what you plan to say. You don't have to exactly say what you write. So I personally find it's easy for a 5-minute presentation. I'll write it down, but I don't read it. I may not even look at it again, but it's like, yeah, that looks like it's about the right timing. The number of slides, 5 to 10 slides, typically 10 slides for max, but that really can vary. If you have a presentation that's just pictures and you want to quickly go through those pictures, you know, it might be up to like 20 slides. But if you're having words on the slides, keep it minimal number of slides. But really, just to give you a sense, you know, 5-10 word some slides is probably going to be most of the presentations. But again, there may be some cases where you're just clicking through some pictures, not too quickly, but clicking through those, and you might actually have more than 10. So presentation, again, one of Jay's great advice is to think about your audience. The audience is going to be large, so you're not going to be able to zero in on any one person, but just think about presenting to basically someone who knows nothing about your topic or your project. So think about, you know, how you're going to present your project to someone that has no idea, they've never heard about the project, have no idea about the topic, present to that level. And there's no required set format. There's no format outline. Do what you are interested in doing. But I'm just giving you one possible outline. Okay, and tomorrow I'm actually going to go through the process I went through for example, 5-minute project. But possible outline is first just spend about a minute. And it's interesting, you know, Jay talked about what you first want to do up front is connect with people. And that's why you want to start your introduction by giving a hook, you know, get people interested in what you're talking about, and then introduce yourself in the project. And typically I like to say, you know, why are you interested in this project? Why did you select this of the tens of millions of projects you could have talked about? Why did you pick this one? And it's that opportunity, like Jay talked about, to really connect with the audience. Then you want to give a quick summary of what you're going to say. So if you know about presenting, say what you're going to say it, and then say what you just said. So give a quick summary of what you're going to say. Then think about your 3 main points. What are the main things you want your audience to get out of this? And spend about a minute on each of those. To be honest, you might not have time to talk about 3 main points. You might actually only have time to talk about 2 points, because sometimes you can't condense it down to a minute. But you're only going to be able to do 2 to 3 points. Don't think about the 10 things you want to talk about. Really narrow it down to 2 or 3 points. That kind of helps keep it simple, like Jay was talking about. After you give those points, you then give up a wrap up, a summary. So you just explain what you just said. Again, it's one possible outline. You can do something different, but that's kind of a simplified way. The process I use, and again, tomorrow I'll get into more details. I'll actually go through a project where I went through this process. But the first thing I always do is create an outline. And I know you all probably heard from your English teacher about creating outlines, and you probably feel like me when I was in school, I didn't pay attention. But it really is the best way to have a concise, good presentation is to create an outline. In this case, step 2, because it is just 5 minutes, there's 800 or 600, 800 words. You can actually write what you're going to say, you know, following that outline. And step 3 is actually one of the hardest parts, and that is say what you plan to say out loud to see if the time is appropriate, and then adjust it to the meeting. Because it's hard. It's hard to get what you want to say across in 5 minutes. It's only after I've done that that I then decide what topics, what groups, when I'm presenting this, what area kind of groups together that makes sense for a slide, and then think about what I want to have on that slide. And the thing is, slides take a lot of time if you're trying to do graphics. So make sure you give plenty of time to create your slide presentation. Again, if you're just writing words, we don't want to do that, but if it's just words, it's easy. If you want to create graphics, it takes some time. So make sure you have plenty of time for your slides, and practice, adjust accordingly, and make sure you enjoy it. Make sure you enjoy giving your talk. And again, tomorrow we'll give some more help. So lots of opportunities for help this week. This week, tomorrow we're going to talk about, tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll talk about how to give a good presentation. We'll ask you for your initial ideas on your topic, the main points. We're also tomorrow going to have, or Wednesday, we'll have a panel discussion on how to manage nervousness, because I know some of you might be really freaking out right now, and we're going to help you manage that nervousness, because everyone at the beginning gets nervous presenting. On Friday will be an opportunity to speak. On Sunday, the presentation outlines due. And the next week, because we want you to have an awesome presentation, we're going to have plenty of time for you to practice. On Monday, there's going to be a presentation from a professional comedian on how to give presentations. Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to give tips. We've also had a number of students ask about including a picture on your resume. It's going to be short, it's going to be 5 minutes. discussion about that, but most of Tuesday and Wednesdays going to be helping you, doing tips. And then Thursday will be a dress rehearsal. If you're doing a video, your video is due on Thursday. Okay, so remember that. If you're doing a video, it's due on Thursday because we want to show it, potentially show it on Friday. So we need it done on Thursday so we can dress rehearse it and show it on Friday. If you give a presentation, be on Friday. Again, invite your families and friends. So we have office hours to help you. You can contact us, any questions. So we really are here to help you. Even if you just need a prep talk, you're like, I don't know about this. Let us talk you into doing it and how you know that you can do an awesome job. So deadlines, Tuesday, you need to do the survey so we understand what your plans are so we can plan, but again, you can change that. Sunday, you're going to need to submit your outline. Sunday's also your requirement for deadline for last week's assignment. Monday, be ready to start dry running your presentation. We might not get to it to Tuesday, but you really want to be ready on Monday or Tuesday to give a dry run. Thursday, videos are due, and Friday is the presentations. And so again, have fun. This is a low risk, great opportunity to really have some fun giving a presentation. And so with that, I will see if there are any questions. Any questions from anyone? Okay, great. So again, fill out your survey. So we can start planning. You can change if you want. And then tomorrow, we're really going to help you think about the details of your presentation. And so again, it's a great opportunity. It's going to be a great skill. It's a low risk opportunity. Some of you, I'm sure, feel comfortable and excited about it. Some of you are like pretty nervous, I suspect. And it's really that opportunity to expand your comfort zone, and it's a great to practice. And maybe feel a little uncomfortable is totally fine. I know I would have been feeling uncomfortable at your age. Totally fine to do that, but really encourage you to sign up for that live presentation. If you want to do that, the videos are great also. All right. So with that, we will see you tomorrow. Tabitha is going to talk about more about the presentations and some tips on creating and preparing. So I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. And again, any questions, just reach out to us. So thanks, everyone.